move along, Councillor. I'll be reluctant to say that to you.
Well, I have been trying to move it along. My first day was a bit of a non-starter. But
So you said by Tuesday or Wednesday?
I would like to, Tuesday. I'm going to do the notes.
The issue is both the planning issues
the remedy.
and the remedy will take some time.
I'm going to prepare remedy.
So we should be telling to come on Thursday.
I'm happy for him to come whenever he wants to come, and I stand down and make suggestions. And it would be good if he did that after I did commission and the events that occurred, and I might email him that so that he knows what I'm going to say.
I'll tell the police to attend it on Wednesday. Is that okay?
That would be fine. I mean, if he comes to his practical arrangements, he wants to step in. I think it might be a problem if he step into the middle of remedy, but if he step in, anything else would be fine.
Anybody got any objection to that?
My lord, I am overcome with horror and shock. We have the practice direction, we have the rules. How can a council, firstly, who's Mr. Umar going to argue for? Secondly, if he's part of the respondents, why is he not here? Number three, I don't understand. My lord, this will create we will throw our judiciary into chaos. How can a council attorney contact the registrar and ask, when should I come? That's bizarre, but then I'm the subject, a victim of enormous unfairness. Because I could make the decision, I'll come here when I must argue. We should not. We should. Then the WLC themselves have not instructed. Sorry, my lord?
We admitted as an amicus, United Ulama Council of South Africa, Muslim Judicial Council. And they were note that the person to argue with him was the MS Umar.
He was not here throughout the proceedings. How is he getting preference to me? With the greatest respect, at the outset I said I have points to eliminate. I was to do it, I must go back, come back, and I told the court I'm not being paid by the DA. How can MS Umar, with respect, he was not here for the entire proceedings, and he so much gets a telephone call to the registrar, and we're accommodating him. My lord, I'm saying, as we're setting a dangerous precedent, a very dangerous precedent, which this practice, with respect, is not done anywhere in our courts in Gauteng, Mpumalanga. But what I'm saying, my lord, with respect, we're setting a very, very dangerous precedent to have an amicus here not at all simply coming into the proceedings, getting Ms. Bauer to endorse it. Ms. Bauer is.
I asked you for your comments as well. I didn't ask Ms. Bauer simply to endorse it.
With the greatest respect, my lord, I say to protect the integrity of our judiciary and to prevent our judiciary into falling into disrepute. Mr. MS Umar, I will myself refer him to the Law Society. Ms. Bauer, I'll refer to the Bar Council for endorsing this. We should be very cautious not to have our judiciary fall into disrepute. This practice is completely out. As completely. Thank you, my lord.
We have an amicus before us. Perhaps you're right that I shouldn't give you preference on that role, but he wants to argue on the side of the He must certainly wait his turn. I mean, we'll give his turn. Now, Ms. Peter, I'll get you. Ms. Gabriel?
Lord, we have no objection to Mr. Omar if it is going to be on the side of the applicants. We are understandably nervous, well I am, about having sufficient time to prepare adequate responses to the notes. And what I would like to...
ample time to do that.
Thank you. What I would like to inquire, Judge, is after Ms. Bauer, who precisely will follow from the amicus in respect of those for the relief?
But if you follow the sequence you've set out here, all the amicus on the side of the applicants will argue first, and then we'll start with Mr. Albertus and respondents.
Then would that include Mr. Omar?
No, he's an applicant.
Or another Omar?
Now, I'm for the 67th respondents. That's another gentleman.
All right, never mind.
Planet.
Thank you.
Judge, while we're on these issues, we also don't have any objection to a counsel not being present in a court in a case of this nature. It's common practice that counsel sometimes comes in and comes out when they are not required to be on their feet. We have no difficulty with Mr. Omar coming in at a later stage. We are in a very similar position, and the informal arrangement between those of the parties that stand, as it were, broadly speaking, on the side of the applicants, is that the Muslim Assembly, our understanding, is going to be the party that would most appropriately argue after the applicants. Following that, the South African Human Rights Commission is actually a respondent as opposed to an amicus. And we do accept that it's probably appropriate that the Muslim Assembly goes immediately after that. Our common understanding is that we would then go after the Muslim Assembly. There are then the three other parties, which are the Mr. Omar, of course, whose locus stand I understood is actually disputed in this matter and may be an issue. Then Mr. MS Omar. And then there is, of course, the Lawyers for Change and the Law Society, which, of course, is an important party to this litigation, given what they say. They are, of course, all amici, as, of course, are also the Gender Commission, which is on that side. And my understanding of the informal arrangement is that we would take it in that order if the court would please.
I will follow you. I think we follow you.
As the court is, my lord, while we're
take
on.
your suggestion. I will withdraw the earlier order that was the MS Omar as the president. You must sit here and wait after, as you suggested.
I'm indebted, my lord. Just while we're on housekeeping issues.
Mr. Bishop, you want to say something?
I'll let Mr. Maltby finish. Sorry.
Could you just set out how you want the sequence with Ms. Powell?
Yes, as I understand it, the informal understanding is that Ms. Mohammed would go after the applicants on behalf of the Muslim Assembly. Then would come myself on behalf of the Human Rights Commission. Then it would seem to me the Law Society and Lawyers for Change and Mr. MS Omar. Their particular order, we haven't been able to speak to them about their order and where they would like to come or what they think is appropriate, but we think it would probably be appropriate for those three to come. The Gender Commission has quite a detailed engagement on the remedy issue, which would probably most appropriately be engaged with at the end. And I don't want to speak for Mr. Bishop, and he may agree or not, but when he does, he can say it. But that is our informal arrangement.
Lord, I'll follow that. Mr. Zahir Umar.
Yes.
You have no objection to that proceeding?
No, not at all. My
Well,
lord,
we're on-
You sit down, Mr. Umar. It's a vote is still on the
Yes,
table.
sorry, just on a housekeeping issue, I did indicate yesterday that we have reserved our rights in relation to the admission of the further affidavit from the Minister of Home Affairs. I wish to place on record on behalf of my client, the 8th respondent in the Women's Legal Centre case, that's the Human Rights Commission, that we have no objection to the admission of that affidavit.
sorry, my lord.
Just for ease of reference,
Yes, ma'am.
the itinerary, I can put it that, you have our journey, and then perhaps be so kind as to pedal no class.
Just the
On the order.
sequence, yeah, so we'll follow that order. Just circulate
thank
it.
you.
If anybody has any objections,
Did you, I would obviously be subject to whatever Mr. Bishop may say.
okay. Does anybody have any objection to that procedure being followed?
I just want to ask a question. There was uncertainty regarding the dispute with regards to execution.
Yes,
There was an issue of whether or not you were supporting the applicant with prayers or not, because that issue was still a bit uncertain.
I apologize.
So, in my mind, if you then are on top of the amici, or let's say the first three, then doesn't that, because you were in between the first day, wasn't it?
Lady, I must say, I don't think that there is, there are very few of the, let's call them the amici and the additional respondent parties who support the applicant, who support the applicant's relief in the very specific form that the applicants seek it. Because even the applicants themselves seek relief in the alternative. So it is the case that my client doesn't come and argue for an order within the specific terms. And this is why I make the point that we are broadly speaking on the side of the applicant in this case, primarily in relation to the question of the obligation which we say exists on the state to pass legislation to regulate Muslim marriages. The specifics of the interim order that must come pending that legislation is a matter of considerable controversy and engagement, if I might say so myself, in fact, even Mr.
But we'd like your input on that.
Yes, and we will of course attempt to as a legal
As
professional,
Chapter 9, Mr.
as a chapter as a legal advisor and advocate, I will certainly give our indications in that regard. But milady, it's correct. I cannot say I want that order or I'm going to be arguing for that order. We are here to assist the court. We stand ready to assist the court, and we stand ready to assist the Parliament and all other parties in this matter as the Human Rights Commission.
Thank you, Mr. Moultrie. Then we'll circulate that before Monday morning.
We will do so today or tomorrow.
Mr. Bishop, you want to add something?
Just very briefly, my lord, just to confirm what Mr. Moultrie said, that was our informal agreement as well, that we would come last, just before the respondents, as our submissions are mostly about remedy. And then also just to request your leave, my learned friend Mr. McConaughey and I are appearing in the Constitutional Court on Tuesday, so he won't be here, but my learned friend Ms. Christians will be here on behalf of the Commission for Gender Equality.
Who says repealing the Constitution?
The economic freedom fighters versus the president.
You see, the complicated, you see, are you the big one?
Sorry, Judge. I'm with the Johannesburg Bar, Judge.
Johannesburg one.
Johannesburg Bar.
Thank you, Lawrence. This court, the time has run out. Ms. Bauer, you got no objection to we will then, Mr. Omar, I will withdraw that order that the other Mr. Omar is present. We will circulate to him the order suggested by Mr. Moultrie, and he must decide whether he wants it.
As good. My lord, I will not be here from Monday onwards. Advocate Fayrouz will take over after me. Advocate Fayrouz will argue the merits of the resistance by the 6th and 7th respondents.
From Professor Amin, and I don't want to,
Professor?
Wahida Amin.
Awaida, yes.
Yes, and so I just thought that in the federal affidavit, we anticipate that we handed up to the judge at the appropriate time. I realized that was that judge.
I don't
I
speak
should
for
probably
myself, it's not for the rest of the